Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach, 𝐓𝐾𝐒. Here today to talk about prioritization and identifying a root cause. Many of you probably are attracted to this because you struggle with prioritization and probably wonder why often you're doing tasks that are seemingly unimportant and instead of those important tasks. So what I hope today to do is reveal the mystery here for you a little bit and give you some insight on how to problem solve for it. So fundamentally, let's understand a prioritization is the assignment of importance to something. It's very simple. That's important, okay? That's the labeling of it. Now, if you're going to do something, if you're going to execute something that's important, have you ever thought about what you need? Well, it's actually interesting when you think about it because several elements have to come together at the same time. Number one, you have to be in a location that's conducive for that task. Let's say that you need to do something on the computer, but you don't have one. You're not in a location that is conducive to that task, hence you'll do something else. Second, you have to have time. You have to have sufficient time to do the task. You also need resources potentially and certain tools to kind of come together when you're in the right location with the right amount of time. The other element that is incredibly important is clarity. If you don't really know what to do, you can be in the right place with the right resources and time, but you'll find yourself probably doing something else. This is what I call task Darwinism. It's the natural selection of tasks based on the elements I've described. And one of the ways I like to describe this, a lot of people can identify where they sit down to their computer and there's maybe an email that they need to send to somebody. Often you've got to persuade somebody or you've got to confront somebody or you've got to do something. And the issue is it's a little unclear exactly what to say in order for that to happen. And you find yourself doing other emails. Well, realize that if you notice your behavior, a lot of times you'll find yourself sending emails because you're in the right location. It doesn't take that much time. It's really clear on what to do. And so rather than sitting straight off into space with the ambiguity of the other email, you get something done. You're actually productive. You're at least reducing the pressure. And so my point of this is all too often people just assign a task, an importance, and they schedule a time to do it. But they're not always have all the other elements in place. And one of the biggest ones I find is lack of ambiguity or lack of clarity. And I don't know if you've noticed, there's a big relationship between clarity and motivation. A lot of people are like, I need to get motivated. Well, have you ever noticed if you got something to do and it's not boring, if you're clear, you'll find yourself doing it. So there's an interesting relationship there. What's my point to all this? My point to all this stuff is if you've got something that's important, what you need to do is back up and think, where do I do this? How much time is needed? What resources do I need, etc. But the biggest one is clarity. If you don't really know what to do, you need to acknowledge it before you get there. And that's like the elephant in the room. Now, what I just described, if you think about it, is planning, which is a challenge for those with ADHD, often having to think about where you're going to be and what you need and getting clarity before you get there requires some thinking before you get there. And you escape that. So what you end up doing is you end up going to the location when it's scheduled and it's time to think about it and you're not really clear. And so in the absence of that, we go to task Darwinism. I hope this is of interest because I hope this will help you kind of gain some insight and explain your behavior and realize that the root cause is the planning of that task. And one of the biggest ones is making sure that you're clear on what to do, clear on what something is, clear on how to do it. With that, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please leave a comment. What are your thoughts on this? Does it make some sense? Do you find yourself stuck on clarity? Also, for those that want to support us, hit the thanks button below. This channel is basically supported by me and my assistant at my cost. And so we'd love contributions if you enjoy our programming. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. With that, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.